Hello, it's me, Michael Tic Tac, and today's, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna beat the entirety of Pokémon Scarlet using nothing but crabs. And as you can probably tell with my voice, I'm kinda sick, but I still wanted to get a video out for you guys, so you're welcome. This means I need to defeat every gym, slay every Titan, raid every Team Star base, and conquer the Elite Four, becoming champion, and of course, take out the true final boss of the game, Professor Sada. Also, to be crystal clear and avoid any confusion, I'll be using crustaceans, so lobsters and crayfish are allowed for this run. Let's not forget that hardcore Nuzlocke rules will be used, which are on the screen now, and to add some extra challenge, I decided to ban terrestrialization as well. Okay, that's enough waffling, let's go. The first hurdle we come across is getting our starter Pokemon, and Director Clavel does try to help, but the guy offers us a duck with a hat, a cat made out of grass, and a crocodile that breathes fire. You see the problem, right? Not a crab in sight. But fear not, my friends, as we head to South Providence Area 3, where we can find ourselves a Clorf, who is conveniently the perfect Pokemon to take on Katie and her bugs. And just when I thought I was done in the area, this happens. Yes, that is a full odds 1 in 4,092 shiny Clorf, just chilling, minding his own business. And yeah, I know I already caught a Clorf, but this one is shiny, so you better believe I'm going to replace him. It does have a mild nature, which is pretty bad for a Clorf, but it's nothing a nature mint can't fix later down the line. Also, Shell Armor is an amazing ability for Nuzlocke, as now Mr. Krabs is immune to critical hits. Okay, Mr. Krabs, are you ready to start crushing some bugs?
Okie dokie.
Perfect. Katie comes out and she starts things off with a Nimble, who gets crushed by a rock tomb. Tarantula is next in, but Mr. Krabs tosses some more rocks on Katie's bug, ending its life. Last is erased Turdiursia, but the plan doesn't change and we drop some more rocks on the bear. It just barely survives a hit, but a Fury Cutter barely puts a scratch in us, meaning a second rock throw is all it takes to exterminate Katie's last Pokemon. What I'm about to do now breaks my heart, but I have no choice. We need to slay the Stony Cliff Titan, who is a fellow crab. For all we know, this big guy could be Mr. Krabs' father. So out of respect for Mr. Krabs, I decided to find a new team member so they can complete the task of murdering a giant Clorf. We go to the beach, and here we can find a crab wearing a pair of boxing gloves. We catch the crab brawler and give her the name Mrs. Krabs. We return to South Providence Area 3, track down the Titan, and we begin the fight. Mrs. Krabs ain't messing around, going for back-to-back drain punches on the Titan Clorf, absolutely destroying it, forcing it to flee. But Mrs. Krabs hasn't had enough, so we follow the Titan and we go back for more, drain punching the Clorf a couple more times before Arvin's shoulder snipes the kill with a water gun. Which actually does make me feel a little better, knowing that we technically didn't kill the crab, and the blood is on Arvin's hands. Not far away is Artisan City, where the famous gym leader Brassius can be found. Okay, I don't actually think this guy is famous. I'm not quite sure why I said that. He uses grass Pokemon, and although I could just teach Ice Punch to Mrs. Krabs and try my luck against the local gardener, I decided to make a quick detour to the snowy side of Paldea, and just next to this big icy rock, we can get our hands on an Ice Stone, which we can then use to evolve Crabrawler into a Crabominable. And boy, this thing is ugly. We enter the gym, watch Brassius jump off a windmill, which should have definitely put him in a wheelchair. He then cracks his whip, and we start the battle. Although I wouldn't really call it a battle, I'd say this is more like a crime scene at the expense of Brassius' Pokemon. Both Petilil and Smoliv fall to a single Ice Punch from Mrs. Krabs. Then it's Sudowoodo who comes in, surviving an Ice Punch from us before going for a rock throw that doesn't hurt too much. Mrs. Krabs then punches his fake tree for a second time, putting it out of its misery and getting the win over Brassius. Wait, you mean to tell me you've been watching all my videos and you still haven't subscribed?
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Whoa. Okay, let's not get crazy here. But if you are enjoying the videos, I would really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Our focus is once again changed and is back to slaying Titans with the Open Sky Titan Bombardier firmly on our sides. We scout to the top of the mountain, dodging the boulders, and then it's not long until the Titan spots us, starting the battle. Mr. Krabs is the perfect Pokemon for this fight, as back-to-back rock tombs from our shiny blue crab is enough to end the first phase of the fight. The giant bird has a cheeky snack before coming back for round 2, but the plan doesn't change, and between Arvin's Knackley and Mr. Krab, we can deal with the Titan with rock throws and rock tombs. Okay, I think it's time we have a quick break. Let's go grab something to eat. What the heck is this? Cloth al alijo? A dish for enjoying rare ingredients in a simple way. These guys are straight up serving us Pokemon to eat. And not just any Pokemon, crabs! Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one. Now it's time to pay Team Star a visit, and the first base I'm gonna raid is Giacomo and his Dark type squad. All pumped up, we reach the gate and... You can't challenge Team Star without at least 3 Pokemon in your party that can battle. Well, that's embarrassing. There are a few encounters left for us to get, and at this point I realize I should have done this run on Pokemon Violet and not Scarlet, as one of the Pokemon I can use is exclusive to Pokemon Violet only. Luckily for me, I own both copies, so I trade over my Quaxley for a mysterious Pokemon egg. Then I ride around Mesagoza on my Koraidon until finally the egg is ready to hatch, giving us a Clauncher. Yep, it's just a Clauncher. We celebrate the birth of a new Pokemon by having a quick family picnic together right outside Team Star's base, I might add. And then after the picnic, we go and take on the boss Giacomo. He leads with a Pornard, which is deceptively fast, outspeeding and landing a Metal Claw doing decent damage to Mrs. Krabs. Although it doesn't really matter, as a Drain Punch pummels the Pornard whilst healing us back up. Giacomo's last line of defense is a Starmobile, and upon coming in, it does intimidate Mrs. Krabs, dropping her attack. Not wanting to fight with a lowered attack, I switch in Mr. Krabs, who can eat a Swift with ease, before swapping Mrs. Krabs straight back in, taking a Wicked Talk with ease, whilst returning her attack back to normal. She starts Drain Punching the Starmobile, and after a third hit from our Crab, the car is destroyed, giving us the win. Iona has a team of electric types, so before we pay her a visit, we speak to this gentleman here at the Pokemon Center at Cascarafa City, who tells us he will give us a special prize if we can defeat 5 trainers at Asada Desert. And let's just say you want to do this. So after beating up 5 poor trainers at the nearby desert, he gives us a TM for Earthquake, which is kind of insane to get this early in the game. One last thing I want to do is head back to Contondo City, and at a nearby field, there's an Adamant Mint, which is perfect for Mrs. Krabs. Before we go head to head with Iono, the Mona ambushes us forcing a battle, which doesn't end well for her. Mrs. Krabs has his way with the Pokemon and starts rock smashing and rock tombing his way through all of them, giving us a comfortable win and a good warm up for Iono. Mrs. Krabs starts things off, getting hit by a pluck from the Wattrel before following up with an Ice Punch, taking out the bird. Bellybolt jumps in, but can do nothing as a huge super effective Earthquake crushes the frog. Now it's Luxio, who comes in and drops her attack with Intimidate, so a hard switch in Mr. Krabs, who takes a Spark before Mrs. Krabs comes straight back in, eating a Spark and thankfully not getting paralyzed. One massive Drain Punch later, the Luxio is taken out and we recover most of our HP back. Last is her Miss Magius, who does Terrestrialize into an electric type and can land a Confused Ray on Mrs. Krabs, and of course, our Crab decides to hit herself in confusion. The electric ghost then goes for a Hex, dealing decent damage to us before Mrs. Krabs fights through the confusion, going for a huge stab, Iron-Fisted Drain Punch, obliterating it in a single hit. You tried your best, Iono. Tamatoa hasn't had much love since joining the team, but with Mela and the Team Star Firebase coming up, that's all about to change. Before we do raid the Firebase, I backtrack to Port Marinata, and if we head to the back here, we can find a tiny boat with a very useful TM, Surf. And now we're ready for Mela. Tamatoa starts things off by going for a Rain Dance, removing the harsh sunlight, which weakens fire moves, and boosts our water type moves.
This move will torture till there ain't nothing but ash left.
Okay, brace yourselves, Tamatoa, here it comes. Oh, that's it.
That was for the rest of the Shed-Ass squad.
Right, so you clearly don't care for them that much, if that's all you've got. Tamatoa then goes for a Surf, which does insane damage, but just short from the KO, allowing the Torkoal to hit us back with a Clear Smog. A second Surf finishes off the Torkoal, which then forces Mela to bring in a Starmobile. It goes for a Screech on Tamatoa, harshly dropping our defense, and we fight back going for a Surf, doing about 1/3 of its health of damage. The Starmobile then goes on the attack, landing a Blazing Torque, but we take the hit well before responding with another Surf, bringing the car low on health. It desperately tries to take out Tamatoa, going for another Blazing Torque, but it's not enough, meaning one last Surf drowns the car and gives us the win. And yes, I know that I just said that we drowned the car, which makes absolutely no sense, but just pretend I didn't say that. Alright, back to the video. Not slowing down, we head straight to the lurking steel titan Orthworm, who gets absolutely destroyed by a single drain punch from Mrs. Krabs. We then follow the coward as it tries to escape before catching up with it and going for back-to-back drain punches, eliminating the titan. Kofu is next up on the hit list, but before I pay him a visit, I want to make some preparations. First things first, we speak to this lovely lady here back at the academy. She then gives us access to the new region of Kitakami, where a particular TM and new Pokemon for the run can be found. Starting with the TM, we head over here and we get the TM for Thunder Punch, which normally becomes available as a recipe after beating Atticus from the Poison Team Starbase. Then in one of the rivers, we can run into a Corphish who gets the name Larry as he joins the team. Larry's an absolute monster, by the way. It has an adamant nature and the ability Shell Armor. The guy's even proud of its power. Talk about confidence. Best of all, right at the level cap of 30, this thing can evolve, giving us a powerful Crawdaunt right before the Kofi fight. We also pick up the TM for Thunderbolt, which sounds amazing for a water gym battle, but no one can learn it, so it's kinda useless. Kofi makes his way to the battleground and we start the fight. Larry starts things off, Night Slashing the Veluza and KOing it with one blow. While Trio comes in, landing a headbutt, although it doesn't matter as a Night Slash takes it out. Crabominal is Kofu's final Pokemon, and while a Night Slash does do a decent chunk of damage to Kofu's ace, a Rock Smash hits even harder, bringing us down to 15 HP. I hard switch in Mrs. Krabs, who takes big damage from a Rock Smash, but on the next turn, we can outspeed and deliver the killing blow with a Thunder Punch, defeating Crabominable and Kofu. Alright, time for a quick update. Right now we've defeated 4 gym leaders, slayed 3 Titan Pokemon, and raided 2 Team Star bases. So naturally, we turn our attention to Team Star and the poison base leader, Atticus. Mr. Krabs has shown some love, taking the lead and setting up with sword stances before the Skuntank retaliates, going for a toxic, badly poisoning us. We came prepared, however, eating a Pecha Berry and curing the poison. Skuntank is rattled, going for a Sucker Punch, but we can eat the hit and then bulldoze a skunk to its death. Riverum could be an issue, but it stands no chance surviving a bulldoze from Mr. Krabs. Now it's Muck, and this pile of goo does survive a bulldoze, but the incoming Sludge Wave doesn't hurt too much, and we can take it out on the next turn. Atticus is getting desperate, bringing in his Starmobile, who lands a spin out for massive damage, almost taking us out, before a bulldoze does respectable damage back, whilst further dropping its speed. We are too low to stay in and fight, so Larry tags in, getting poison from the toxic spikes, and takes a spin out from the Reverum. Larry's able to get off 2 Night Slashes on the Starmobile, bringing it low, but he's also too low on health himself to stay in. Mrs. Krabs has seen enough, eating a Noxious Talk as she hard switches in, and then sends a giant car to the scrapyard as she lands a huge earthquake, obliterating it. With another Team Star base conquered, we can shift our focus back to the gym challenge with Larry and his normal types needing a beating. Mr. Krabs starts things off by bulking up in front of Kamala, who then responds with a yawn, making us drowsy. Doubling down, we go for another bulk up while the Kamala hits us with a slam for minimal damage. At the end of the turn, we do fall asleep, but we came prepared, eating a Chesto Berry and waking right back up. Now things are about to get ugly for Larry's team, and you may want to look away. Kamala gets Drain Punched and dies. The Dunsparce gets Drain Punched and dies. Finally, it's the Staraptor, who does drop our attack with Intimidate and even outspeeds, going for an aerial ace, but Mrs. Krabs can laugh off the damage before Drain Punching it to its death. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, who's ready to see a cat fight? You see, you may not know, but Tic Tac here is quite the desirable guy at the moment. Here, let me show you.
I found Tic Tac first. You may be La Primera, but you can't go stealing him from me. Ha 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 ha, I suppose I'll get in line.
I mean, can you blame them? Just look at me. Oh, and I beat up all of Lamona's Pokemon straight after this, by the way, and she still looks at me like this. Yeah, I'm a stud. Also, before I forget, Tamatoa also evolves, and with his Mega Launcher ability, this thing's an absolute menace. For those who don't know, the ability makes Aurora and Pulse moves deal 50% damage. It's basically like having free stab for these moves. And now, my friends, it's time to do something controversial. You see, there is one more encounter left for me to catch. So we head to the local beach and we get our hands on a Slowpoke, and no, this thing is not a crab. But once it reaches level 37 and evolves into a Slowbro, this guy is in fact a crab. Don't believe me? Well, get a load of this. Yep, you read the Pokédex right. Its species is a hermit crab. So any complaints about his inclusion to the team can be sent directly to the Pokemon Company. Thank you. Okay, with that all out of the way, we need to deal with Rhyme and her ghost Pokemon at Montenovera Gym. Larry and Tatamoa start the fight for us, and Bennett wastes no time sucker punching Tatamoa while Mimikyu hits Larry with a slash. Larry responds with a Night Slash on the Bennett, taking it out, and a Dark Pulse from Tamatoa can hit, breaking Mimikyu's disguise. Mimikyu then retaliates with a slash on Larry, but we take the hit well before Night Slashing the Houndstone, sending it back to its grave. Tamatoa also goes for a Dark Pulse on the Mimikyu, but it's not quite enough to get the KO. Rhyme now brings in Toxtricity and starts hyping up the crowd, and no one is more hyped than this puppy here, living his best life on the speaker. You go, boy. Mimikyu goes for another slash on Tamatoa, while Larry goes for a huge Night Slash, one-shotting the Toxtricity before Tamatoa delivers a devastating Water Pulse, destroying the Mimikyu, defeating Rhyme, and getting the win. Our journey now takes us to the other side of Paldea, where the Titan Pokemon, the Great Tusk, is waiting for us. Slowbro gets hit with a knockoff for decent damage, but a Surf deals insane damage and ends the first phase in a single hit. The ancient Pokemon has a snack on some herbs, gets a power up, and then comes back for more. But it doesn't make a difference, as between Scovillian's Razor Leaves and Slowbro's Psychics, we're too much for the Titan Pokemon, and we can end its life. My crabs are on a bit of a roll at the moment, and they aren't slowing down anytime soon as we head to Alfornada City to face Tulip. Mr. Krabs has been feeling left out, so I show him some love and I give him the lead. He starts off by setting up with a Sword Stance, doubling our attack, while Farigiraf goes for a Reflect. Wanting to get stronger, we go for another Sword Stance, while Farigiraf goes for a Zen Headbutt, doing minimal damage. Getting greedy, we go for another Sword Stance, while the Giraffe tries his best to stop us with another Zen Headbutt. The last step of the plan is a Trial Blaze, which does minimal damage thanks to the Reflect, but does raise my speed. And from here, we get the broom out, and we start sweeping through Tulip's entire team with X-Scissors. Even a Terrestrialized Forge falls, and we get the win. There's just one more gym badge left for us to collect, so we track back to the snowy mountains of Paldea, where we can meet up with Grusha. Okay, be honest with me. Who else thought that Grusha was a girl when they first saw him? I saw you on the slopes. Your skills? Yeah, they were pretty cool. Oh yeah, I'm sure I looked really cool sliding down that mountain, barely making it through the flags. Mr. Crab gets some more love, going for a Sword Stance, while Grusha's Frostmoth sets up with a Tailwind, which could be a problem. I protect on the next turn to burn one of the Tailwind rounds before being hit with a huge Blizzard, leaving Mr. Krabs low, while he sets up with a second Sword Stance. We protect again, getting some HP back with leftovers, but more importantly, the Tailwind has ended and we can now outspeed. Not wasting any time, we go for a Rock Slide on the Frostmoth and we crush the Icy Bug. Actually from here, we can start crushing all of Grusha's Pokemon with Rock Slides, taking them out one by one in a single hit. Now that all 8 gym badges are in our possession, we make our way to the Pokemon League to take on the Elite Four. Hold up, no, that's not right. We still have some unfinished business to deal with, starting with Team Star and their fairy-based leader, Ortega. Before we take on the spoiled brat, we can pick up a very useful TM that we can teach Tamatoa, Sludge Bomb. We then raid the Team Star base, forcing out Ortega and starting the battle. Tamatoa goes for a Sludge Bomb, doing great damage to Azumarill, while the rabbit hits back with a Play Rough, which does hurt a bit. Playing it safe, we go for a Protect to get some extra HP recovery from leftovers before a second Sludge Bomb takes out the Azumarill. Now it's Wigglytuff, and the plan doesn't change as we protect for leftovers recovery and then land a Sludge Bomb for big damage. It does charm us, which is fine as we're using special attacks, which then allows us to finish off the Wigglytuff with a Water Pulse so we can reserve our Sludge Bomb PP. Dash Bun is now in, and a Sludge Bomb is so close to the KO, but it does survive and it retaliates with a Play Rough, which we take pretty well. Once again, we go for a Water Pulse to land the final blow to save our Sludge Bomb PP, and Ortega has no choice but to bring in his Starmobile. On the first turn, we go for a Protect to get some extra HP recovery from leftovers, and then on the following turn, it goes for a Steel Roller, which doesn't hurt much at all, before a Sludge Bomb back does a nice chunk of damage. We protect again to try and stay healthy, before a Magical Talk brings us pretty low, but once again, a Sludge Bomb from Tamatoa lands, bringing the car low as well. To play it safe, I bring in Mr. Krabs, who gets confused on the switch, so because of that, I just hard switch in Slowbro instead, who is still without a name for some reason. Slowbro takes a Steel Roller like a champ before landing back-to-back Psychics on the car, sending it to the junkyard. The False Dragon Titan is our next objective, and Mrs. Krabs can Thunder Punch the giant Dondonzo a couple of times, ending the first phase and forcing it to flee. We follow the giant fish, and we can go for round 2, and between Mrs. Krabs' Thunder Punches and Arvin's Greedent's takedowns, we can overwhelm the Titan, sending it to an early grave. But we all know that the true fight is not the Dondonzo, but the Tatsugiri. The tiny fish starts things off with a muddy water, which deals huge damage to both Mrs. Krabs and Greedent, along with dropping our accuracy. Thankfully, a Drain Punch doesn't miss, dealing a nice bit of damage back while also healing us up. Greedent then goes for a Tail Whip, which is actually useful as it drops the Titan's defenses. Okay, I kind of feel silly calling this thing a Titan, but it is what it is, I guess. The Tatsugiri then goes for a huge Dragon Pulse on the Greedent, sending Arvin Squirrel to the afterlife, as Mrs. Krabs goes for a second Drain Punch, doing insane damage and bringing our HP back to full. Tatsugiri then goes for an Icy Wind, which makes no sense if I'm being honest, before a third Drain Punch slays the final Titan of the game. Yeah, I really can't get over how ugly this thing is. Game Freak, you really did this crab dirty. And now, we have but just one more thing to do before we can take on the Pokemon League, and that's defeat Eerie and her fighting Team Star base. Eerie leads with a Toxicroak, and I have Slowbro out. Toxicroak goes for a predictable Sucker Punch, while I go for a Calm Mind, raising my special attack and special defense. We repeat this 4 times, getting us a +4, making us powerful, but unfortunately slow. Well, that is what I would be saying, if not for my next move, Trick Room. You see, this move basically allows Pokemon with the lowest speed stat go first, and they don't get much slower than a Slowbro. See you later, Toxicroak. Nice knowing you, Passy Man. You tried your best, Lucario. We can still be friends, Annihilate. You'll get him next time, Starmobile. The Pokemon League is now within our sights, and we waste no time going straight in and starting our first battle against Rika. Wishcash hits Slowbro with an Earth Power, but we take the hit and we go for a Calm Mind, powering up our Crab. We protect between turns to get some extra leftover recovery, while Rika keeps attacking with Earth Powers, and we continue to set up with a second Calm Mind. Wishcash goes for one more Earth Power, but it's futile as Slowbro twists dimensions with a Trick Room. Slowbro now outspeeds, and a Surf is too much for Rika's Wishcash, getting the KO. Dugtrio also has no hope, drowning to a Surf from Slowbro. Donphan is annoying because it can't survive due to Sturdy, but an Earthquake doesn't hurt too much, and we can take it out on the next turn. The Trick Room has ended, and now Rika brings in Camerupt, who can outspeed Slowbro and go for a Yawn, but we can still wash away this fiery Camel with a Surf. Last is Race Clodsire, who has Water Absorb, so I hard switch in Mrs. Krabs for free as it ends up going for a Protect. I forgot to teach Ice Punch, but a Drain Punch can still bring Clodsire below half health while surviving an incoming Earthquake. One last Drain Punch lands, and we finish off the Clodsire, and we've defeated Rika. Poppy is next up, yes, a literal child, and we start with Mrs. Krabs, who can go for a Bulk Up, while a Copperaja goes for a Stealth Rocks for some reason. I use this opportunity to go for another Bulk Up, but this time the elephant uses Heavy Slam, which does a decent chunk of damage to us. It counts for nothing though, as a Drain Punch not only kills the elephant, but recovers all of our HP back. Corviknight is next, but a Thunder Punch can deal with the bird. Magnezone does survive because of Sturdy, but then proceeds to set up a Light Screen, which doesn't matter at all, before falling to a second Drain Punch. Bronzong also tries his best to help, but a Drain Punch can deal with the Giant Bell. Now it's Tinkaton, who has a move called Gigaton Hammer that will definitely kill me, so I protect on the first turn not to get hit, and because this move cannot be used twice in a row, she's forced to go for a Play Rough, which we can survive, before Drain Punching this fairy straight back to Poppy. Larry now makes his way through the doors, and this time he comes wielding flying Pokemon. So I slap an Expert Belt on Tamatoa, and off we go. Larry leads with Tropius, but a quite effective Ice Beam eliminates the flying plant. Staraptor does intimidate us, but we're a special attacker, so an Ice Beam is still enough to take it out. Altaria has no hope, as it also falls to an Ice Beam from Tamatoa. Now it's Oricorio, but the plan doesn't change, and we Ice Beam the bird to death. Flamingo comes in, and according to my calculations, this thing will survive an Expert Belt, super effective Ice Beam, so I switch in Slowbro, who takes huge damage from a Brave Bird, while Flamingo takes some recoil damage. I protect on the next turn for some extra leftovers recovery, before taking another Brave Bird, leaving me on just 20 HP, but the Flamingo does take more recoil damage. We then go for a Surf, but of course, this stupid thing is able to hang on. I switch in Mr. Krabs, who can take a brave bird fairly well before outspeeding on the next turn and crushing the flamingo with a rock slide. Finally, Hassel can make his way through the center stage and we begin the battle. Noivern goes for a Super Fang on Slowbro, dealing exactly half our HP, while we go for a Carmine, boosting our stats. As usual, we protect between turns for the leftovers recovery, and then Noivern goes for another Super Fang, dealing half of our remaining HP, while another Carmine has Slowbro feeling powerful. We protect one last time before Noivern decides to go for a Hyper Voice, doing basically no damage, while Slowbro can turn the tables, going for a Trick Room. And now, we can do this. Unfortunately, the Trick Room has ended just as Hassel brings in his Baxcalibur, but as long as his Glaive Rush doesn't crit, we can survive, and it doesn't, meaning a Psychic from Slowbro will destroy the Baxcalibur and give us the win against Hassel. With all 4 members defeated, we can head outside where the final boss herself is waiting, Geeta. And I would like to tell you that this was a grueling battle that pushed me to my very limits, forcing me to utilize all my Nuzlocking knowledge and skills, but yeah, that's not the case. Tamatoa can Dark Pulse the Espartha, one-shotting the Emu. Gagoat does survive an Ice Beam from us and uses a Horn Leech to hurt us back while recovering some of its HP, but a second Ice Beam is still enough to end the Goat. Ivoloc has no hope surviving an Aura Sphere due to its measly special defense stats. King Gambit does look powerful, but a quad effective Aura Sphere can finish it off. Veluza is also useless, as one Dark Pulse gets the job done on the fish. Last is Erase Glamora, but let's be honest, it was never going to survive a Water Pulse from Tamatoa. Yep, that was the final battle. Well, actually no it's not. As there is one more trainer that I want to go toe to toe with, and in order to do that, we need to deal with some of the small fry first. So we beat up Arva's Mapostiff at the Lighthouse, then it's Director Clavel and his Meowscarada that feels the pain. Penny and a Sylveon also need to be dealt with, and of course, we have some unfinished business with Nemona and a Skeledirge. With all them beaten, we now have access to Area 0, which with the help of Koraidon, we can fly down to. Once there, we meet up with Professor Sada's AI, who takes us down to the deepest part of Area 0, where we can start the final battle. Mrs. Krabs gets hit with a lunge, dropping our attack, but it doesn't matter as we can crit with a huge Ice Punch, taking out the Slitherwing. Screamtail is a horrible matchup, so I hard switch in Slowbro, who can take a play rough well. Slowbro can now protect between turns, getting HP recovery, while also setting up Carmines on the Screamtail, who tries their best to stop us with play roughs, but it's hopeless for them. Screamtail then goes for one last Ice Punch in hope to stop what's about to happen, but we laugh it off before surfing this clone to its death. Fluttermane tries its luck with a Shadow Ball, however we eat the hit well, but it does drop our special defense. It pays for it with its life though, as the surf is just too much for this ancient Pokemon. Now it's Sandy Shocked, who goes for a Discharge, and of course, this move ends up paralyzing Slowbro. To rub salt in the wound, we are fully paralyzed and not able to attack back. We then get hit with a second Discharge before we can eventually hit back with a Surf, taking out this Magnemite abomination. Brute Bonnet can come in, and unfortunately a Sucker Punch is enough to KO Slowbro and give us our first death of the run. Mrs. Krabs comes in, and she can bulk up on the Brute Bonnet, who then goes for a Giga Drain, which is fine as it activates my Citrus Berry, healing us back up again. We go for a second bulk up just to be safe, while a Giga Drain brings us fairly low. This time we go on the attack, and one massive Drain Punch later, we can one-shot the Brute Bonnet, taking it out. Last but not least is my personal favourite, Roaring Moon, who goes for a Dragon Claw, but it doesn't crit, meaning one last Drain Punch from Mrs. Krabs is all it takes to slay the Roaring Moon and win the battle. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.